hari abagaragajwe ko bafungiwe kubera impamvu nyinshi, hari abafungiwe su gufunga na prayer houses gusa bambuwe ubuzima bugatozi bagahita bimura ibikorwa byabo online, bazi yuko aho ngaho wenda ari ahantu ubutabera cyangwa amategeko atabageraho, ariko bageraho ntago ari ibikorwa byemewe, kandi turi kubihagurukira ku buryo nabo bagendera ari abemerewe gukora navuga by'amadini byo kubwiriza online, bakabikora mu buryo bwemewe n'amategeko n'amabwiriza, ariko abandi batemerewe nabo bakabihagarika.
Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into, well, a very specific piece of news, but one that I think really tells a bigger story about how our world is grappling with the digital age. Our source material, it's an article from the New Times dated Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. And the core thing we're going to dissect, the real nugget, is this: a warning from the CEO of the Rwanda Governance Board. About what? About non-compliant faith organizations hiding online. Okay, let's unpack this. Because, wow, that statement alone, it's packed with layers, isn't it? Offers a fascinating window into governance tech oversight. So let's start with the basics, the foundational facts from the source. The key figure here is Doris Picard. She's the chief executive officer of the Rwanda Governance Board, the RGB, and the article says Ms. Picard addressed faith leaders directly. In Kigali, this happened on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, the same day the article came out. The New Times even provides a photo credited to Charles Nyandwi, which helps, visualize the scene and gives it a certain gravity. This wasn't just some press release.
No, absolutely not. And what's really fascinating here is the RGB itself. The Rwanda Governance Board, I mean, it isn't just some minor department. It's a critical body. Yeah. It's responsible for pretty broad oversight, ensuring good governance across different sectors. Yeah. So for its CEO, Ms. Picard, to engage directly with faith leaders, that's not just routine paperwork. The very deliberate, high-level communication. It signals that the RGB sees this as, well, a matter of considerable importance, something needing immediate attention. And it sends a clear message to those leading faith communities. This kind of direct engagement, it often marks a shift, a heightened focus on a specific area of compliance. It definitely communicates urgency.
That distinction feels really crucial. It's not just policy, it's a direct address. Raises the stakes, like you said. Yeah. So let's dig into that phrase then. Non-compliant faith organizations. We hear compliant all the time, right? Financial rules, safety stuff. But when a body like the RGB uses non-compliant for faith groups, what does that really mean? What are we talking about here?
Well, fundamentally, compliance just means following the rules. The established rules, regulations, the legal frameworks. And that applies to any organization operating within a country, whether it's a business, a charity, or, a faith organization. It means you're operating within the boundaries set by the government.
Okay.
Now, for faith organizations specifically, this could cover a whole range of things, maybe initial registration to get legal status, or submitting regular reports, like financial or operational ones, for transparency. Could be about zoning, building codes for their physical places, or even guidelines on, say, public gatherings, protecting members, ensuring community safety. These are sort of the bedrock principles defining how the state interacts with institutions in society. So non-compliant basically means they're failing on one or more of those standards. They're operating outside the recognized system.
So it's really about kind of playing by the agreed rules for society to function smoothly and fairly. But from the RGB's point of view, why is this compliance so fundamentally important? What's the big deal if some organizations operate outside these rules?
Well, that gets right to the heart of governance, doesn't it? Compliance ensures transparency and accountability. And those are like the absolute cornerstones of good governance, a stable society, really. When organizations, doesn't matter what kind, operate within clear legal, ethical boundaries, it's not just about preventing small problems. It actually safeguards the public interest, protects people, helps maintain social cohesion. Without compliance, you risk organizations operating totally unchecked. They could potentially engage in activities harmful to their members, maybe financially, maybe promoting dodgy practices.
Right, I see.
Or harmful to society overall. It's about stopping exploitation, ensuring fair practice, and ultimately building trust in institutions. If everyone follows the same rules, you get that level playing field. Operations are visible, traceable, and importantly, responsible. The stakes are really about societal trust and order.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, without that framework, the whole idea a level playing field just collapses, potentially leaving people vulnerable. Creates a space for unchecked activity. Okay, so we've unpacked compliance. Crucial stuff.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. What makes this Rwandan warning so modern, so resonant today is Mrs. Picard's specific focus. Organizations hiding online. From your perspective, what makes that phrase so uniquely telling right now?
Oh, absolutely. Hiding online, that phrase just stamps this whole thing with a 2025 date, doesn't it? And it points directly to a huge contemporary challenge for regulators everywhere.
Globally. Yeah.
It immediately suggests these non-compliant groups are using digital platforms, the internet, social media, maybe encrypted chat, who knows, maybe even darker corners of the web, using these platforms to operate without the kind of visibility or oversight they'd face if they were just, bricks and mortar. Think about it. A group could avoid official registration entirely just by existing online. They could conduct activities, sermons, fundraising, even recruitment in ways that totally bypass physical monitoring.
Wow.
Maybe hosting virtual gatherings and private groups, collecting donations through less traceable digital means, spreading doctrines via encrypted apps. It makes identifying leadership or tracking their actual reach incredibly difficult. The internet's nature, its global reach, the perceived anonymity, crossing borders easily is basically being used as a shield to obscure their operations from the authorities. It's not just being online. It's using online to hide.
That paints a really vivid picture, like a digital ghost almost. Makes it super hard to know who's even accountable. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this specific situation in Rwanda, it really highlights this growing paradox for governments everywhere, right? How do you apply laws that are based on territory, on physical space, to things that exist everywhere and nowhere online?
Precisely. This Rwandan case, it's not some isolated oddity. It's a mirror reflecting these wider systemic challenges that governance bodies are facing all over the world, trying to monitor and regulate entities that are primarily digital. It's profoundly complex. The internet just opens up completely new ways for all sorts of entities, not just faith groups, to operate outside traditional frameworks.
Right.
And that makes it extraordinarily difficult for national governments whose power is inherently tied to physical borders, to geography, to maintain any effective oversight. It's this classic and frankly escalating tension. The fluid, borderless, often anonymous digital world versus the fixed geographical boundaries of state power.
Yeah.
This isn't just about faith groups. It's about the very nature of state control in the 21st century.
That really drives home how much things are changing. So how does this digital space specifically complicate things for, let's say, traditional organizations like faith groups, ones that historically had very real physical roots in communities?
Well, it creates massive hurdles, almost unprecedented ones, you could argue. Historically, if a group wanted to set up a church, a mosque, a temple, they needed physical permits, inspections, a registered address, visible leaders.
Yeah, tangible things.
Exactly. Tangible points of contact, clear ways for authorities to oversee things. When an organization moves mostly online, those traditional interaction points, they shrink, or they can just vanish completely. It becomes vastly harder to verify if they even legally exist, to monitor what they're actually doing, if it's safe, or even figure out who's really behind it all and where they physically are.
Right.
Plus, the sheer volume of digital content and the global nature of the internet, it makes applying national laws incredibly tricky. You might have servers in one country, leaders in another, followers scattered across dozens. Whose laws apply? Who enforces them?
It's like trying to put a fence around a cloud, as you sort of alluded to earlier.
That's a perfect analogy. The digital domain just shifts and moves in ways that defy easy capture by old governance models. It forces governments to totally rethink their approaches, their legal definitions even.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, how do governments even begin to train people to track entities that can just poof, vanish or change shape online almost instantly? So what does this all mean then for how we understand governments trying to keep tabs on things in this super connected digital world?
This deep dive, stemming from just one news report from Rwanda, it really gives us invaluable insights. It's a microcosm of these universal challenges. Every nation is facing this, maybe at different speeds or with different specifics, but they're all grappling with it. For anyone paying attention, it immediately brings up that razor's edge governments have to walk, doesn't it? How do you enforce necessary compliance, maintain order online without accidentally crushing legitimate free expression or stepping on fundamental rights?
Yeah, that's the tightrope.
Exactly. And it's not just faith groups. This tension, online anonymity versus regulation, it plays out everywhere. Disinformation campaigns, financial scams, even things like tax rules for digital nomads. This specific example, rooted in the RGB talking to faith leaders, it's just a powerful lens. Lets us see the bigger strategic shifts governments are considering, to keep order and protect people in this radically changed landscape.
Right.
It really highlights the need for governments not just update rules, but also to develop new kinds of digital literacy within their own ranks and find innovative ways to engage with all organizations that now live in both the physical and the virtual worlds.
This has been, a really eye-opening deep dive. Just to quickly recap for everyone listening, we looked at that specific warning from Doris Uwisieza-Picard, CEO of the Rwanda Governance Board, to faith leaders in Kigali back on September 17th, 2025. The key phrase, reported by the New Times, non-compliant faith organizations hiding online. And we've sort of unpacked how this highlights both the old school importance of organizational compliance and the very new, very complex challenge of enforcing that compliance when things go digital and opaque.
And, it really raises a big overarching question for all of us, doesn't it? As this digital world keeps expanding and it shows no sign of stopping. How will nations effectively govern all kinds of organizations, not just faith-based ones? How do they do that while also protecting the freedoms and the innovation that the internet makes possible? Such a delicate balance, constantly shifting. It's going to need ongoing discussion, probably unprecedented innovation in how we regulate, and just a constant recheck on how our traditional systems cope with these new borderless digital realities. Honestly, the conversation around this, it feels like it's really just getting started.
A truly massive, thought-provoking challenge for our future. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep connecting those dots in our fascinating, sometimes complicated world. We'll get you on the next one.